Build my world around hope. Build my world where there's mercy and grace. Build my world around love. Build my world around all that is true. Build my world around you. Oh.
This past September, we dedicated our very first Apostle Build, which was a partnership between 8 local churches, and it was an incredible opportunity for those churches to come together. They were out there working side by side to build that house, and at the end of the project, the Astleford family had the opportunity for the first time to live in a simple, safe, and affordable home that really provided the stability that their family had never been able to have before. And they were so grateful for the opportunity to work alongside the churches, and in fact their own church, Newburgh Foursquare Church, was a part of that project as well. The Apostle Build is a really great opportunity for our faith community in the McMinnville area to come together and put their faith into action to do something tangible locally to make a huge impact in their community by working side by side to build a house in partnership with a local family in need.
I think it's an excellent program, so we're excited to be here in Mac and to be in this house. So
yeah, it's a good opportunity for people who aren't able to get a traditional home loan, who have maybe lower income or other restrictions that they couldn't be able to get the regular loans. And it's just been a real blessing to us to be able to participate in it.
This is the second Apostles Build we're planning at the current time, and this involves a number of churches, as many as we can get, who will contribute to the build, and then also supply labor. That is, usually we have crews come out on a Saturday and work the day, and these are from different churches. We're going to do it a little bit differently than we did last time because we're planning on having people sign up from various churches as opposed to have one church responsible for each Saturday. And it's a way, I think, that these people can really live their faith through works. It's a wonderful opportunity to do something for the community and for people who are in need.
Habitat is an ecumenical Christian housing ministry, and we really want to continue to be a servant to the faith community here within McMinnville and the McMinnville area, and to create lasting partnerships that are going to change the landscape for low-income families in our community forever. Last year I was visiting with a church, and we were talking about the Apostle Build, and we were talking about the incredible need in our community. And by the end of the meeting, a couple members of the church said, you know, there's just no way that if every church in this community came together, they really put their hearts and their minds to it, that we couldn't totally stamp out poverty housing in our area. It's a huge problem, but together there's no way that we can't accomplish it. And that was just such an exciting moment for me because it is a huge issue and there is a tremendous amount of need in our community.
I feel like we are called to have our faith in action. We're called to follow the example that Jesus set and to share not only our time and our talent and our treasures, but to actually get out there and take care of people who can't, give them a hand up.
What I really love about it is that so many times there's little things that divide churches and keep us apart, and this is one thing where we can all pick up a hammer and we can all hammer in boards together with nails, and we can all agree on that everyone should have decent housing. And I don't know, I just think it's magic for what it does for a church.
The idea is that we'll have at least 12 churches that will come together to completely fund the project. That way, at the end of this project, the churches know that they've provided all the funding for it, they've provided the labor for it, and this house is really something that they're going to be able to drive by 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and see that as a continuing testament to their faith and their commitment to their community. Financial support is incredibly important to the project. Habitat for Humanity is a locally funded program. Every penny that we raise comes out of this community, and in fact we tithe a percentage of the funds that we raise, and of course for this project as well, to build houses overseas in third world countries through Habitat for Humanity. we have a local partnership with Guatemala Habitat for Humanity, and in the last year, in addition to the 4 houses that we've completed in the McMinnville area, we've also built about 3.5 houses in Guatemala with the funds that we've sent. So funding is incredibly important because we don't rely on any sort of government funding. We do have to dig into the community and raise the funds for each and every house we build, and also, in addition to that, to raise the funds to tithe to help those third world projects that struggle so much in raising funds locally for themselves.
We're so fortunate in this country. We've got so much, and yet there are people who don't have what they need. And it's what we're called to do.
I hope other churches will get the chance to have this opportunity to participate in this build. So many times we think about it as we're doing it for someone else, but I'll tell you, it's golden for a church to share in a mission like this. And I just had such fun last year working side by side with people from 7 different churches. That was such a joy, and I think that joy is just infectious in the congregation. And it's fun to have a mission project right here in McMinnville.
We're all called to come together and to be one, not to be diverse. And this is a chance for all the churches in the community to be involved together and as one body to work toward helping others.
In conjunction with the Apostle Build, we plan to have a program for our volunteers, an 8-week training program that will allow our volunteers to come to a class, either the class that corresponds with the day that they're going to be on the construction site, or to come to all 8 classes and get a sense of how do you measure, how do you level something, how does framing happen, how do you hold a hammer. We're going to cover all of the basics in those classes, which are absolutely great for our new families to go to as well. Helps everybody get comfortable with the construction site. And then when volunteers come out onto the site, they have a sense of what's expected of them. So we definitely need volunteers who are inexperienced and are willing to get out there and learn new skills. And we have that need for volunteers who have some kind of construction experience in the past. And what we typically do with those volunteers is we pair them with a team of inexperienced volunteers to help supervise the people who are not as accustomed to using a hammer every day. In addition to our inexperienced and experienced construction volunteers, we also have a whole subset of people, the most important people on the construction site, and those are our food service people. Every Saturday on the construction site, we have somebody that's bringing in cookies, snacks, refreshments, and those are always the most popular people that show up on one of our sites. We also have a need for people to do site hostessing or site hosting, and that's the person who shows up before construction begins and sets up our information booth for volunteers. And when volunteers get there, they check them in, have them sign their waiver form, hand out their safety equipment, make sure that everything is in order and that they know what the plan is for the day. And finally, on site, we also have safety people. And our safety people are the ones who are there, usually 2 at a time, who are just making sure that people are wearing their hard hats and their safety goggles, that the construction site is being kept clean and orderly, and that everybody is on a really safe construction site. So those are the different types of volunteer opportunities. They can involve people of all ages. We had volunteers this last summer working as our safety crew who were in their mid-70s. We have church groups and social groups that bring in snacks all the time. And we have people all the way down to 16 who are able to be out on our construction site actually swinging a hammer. So it's a great opportunity for people of all ages, all skill levels, and all different types of experience to come together on a single project.
There are so many different jobs you can do. Right now I'm standing in the Restore, and we have a lot of volunteers who come here and just help us price things or simply greet people when they come in. We need people to come to the work site and provide snacks for us. There's administrative tasks to do. There's no shortage of things you can do with Habitat, and I find too a lot of people who've never swung a hammer enjoy learning how to swing a hammer, enjoy learning some of these trades. And that's another fun part of the process, is you can actually learn that with Habitat.
I'm a real novice when it comes to any kind of tools, and I didn't have to have any type of experience to come and help. I just was able to pitch in wherever they needed me. I helped hold up boards while the guys nailed them in, and helped measure things, and even just picked up around the job site. And Dwayne had a lot more experience than I did with tools,
Yeah.
but
I was here about every Saturday. I think I missed a couple of them. But yeah, it didn't take really any experience. I mean, if you knew how to throw a hammer, you could pretty much work on the house. It was, and they figured out where your skills were at, what you were best at, and they put you onto that. If it was just holding boards and that was it, what you did, if you could do more, measure, cut, saw, whatever, they'd put you onto that. So it was a fun experience working with the carpenters and stuff, and the contractors, and helping build and hammer it together. It was exciting every week to be done and see something else new done. It was an excellent time.
But we have so many people in the community who seem to think that Habitat for Humanity is some sort of gift program, that we give families a free house, and that's not the case at all. Habitat for Humanity is 100% a hand up and not a handout. Families put in a minimum of 500 hours of sweat equity, and they repay every penny of the money that we loan to them to build their house. So not only does it create a safe, decent place for a family to live that's affordable for them, but it also creates a sense from our families that the community really cares. It increases their skill level. We've had several families that have transitioned into construction jobs after building their own house because they have so many new skills. And it really creates self-confidence for our families.
But all of those that are chosen for homes in the Habitat for Humanities are helping themselves. They have to put their own time into it, their friends put time into it, and they make house payments. I mean, it's not just all given to them. They go through a pretty good background check and everything. So if I can be a small part of that, or anyone, that's great.
People really do need to understand that, in that sense, that we build these houses, we select the families very carefully because they have to be able to make payments. We are the builder and the loan company at the same time. And so these people are required to work 500 hours on the house itself. So these people, yes, are paying for this house.
It is a hand up to these people. What they really need is a house, and there's no way in the current market they could ever afford that. People who are making minimum wage, people who barely are making a survivable wage, to be able to come in hand and work for your house. So you not only get a chance to participate and start, your feeling of ownership with that house right away, but you gain great skills in how a house is put together and how to do maintenance, and you can kind of see how it all comes together. Then the house is sold to these people at zero interest, which from a biblical perspective, when you're dealing with the poor, is ideal that we're not charging interest to these people. And what's so sad to me is in our current reality, people who are poor pay the highest interest rates. I mean, they get short-term loans and really taken advantage of. So I think this is such a great biblical principle that we're helping these people help themselves.
Our families are hardworking families. They're working one, sometimes two jobs, usually making low or a minimum wage. And housing is so expensive in this community that just to get by, a lot of low-income families are sometimes paying 50, 60, 70% of their income each month just on rent. And as a consequence of that, we find a lot of families that are sharing housing. So you have a whole lot of kids in a really small space. We have a Habitat family that was living in a basement, an unfinished basement that just had a single hanging light bulb and no plumbing, and they were paying $400 a month to live there. We recently had a family of 4 who were living with another adult couple who had 2 adult children in a 1-bedroom, single-wide manufactured home. So they had 6 adults and 2 children in a 1-bedroom housing unit, which is just absolutely substandard. Lots of families that are living in garages, moldy apartments. The need is just overwhelming.
I love giving money to Habitat because a lot of times when you give money to something, it just does what it does and it goes away. But with Habitat, you give money and it builds a house. And then that money is paid back into the fund, and then it builds another house. And then that money comes. So really, when you give $10, $100, $1,000 to Habitat, it will build houses forever, which I just think is really fun.
we're going to be scheduling a community-wide meeting for the Apostle Build churches, and at that meeting, our volunteer coordinator, Mary Ann Mills, is going to meet with all the different people from the different churches who are interested in participating in some way on the project, whether that's providing food for our construction workers, serving as a site hostess, a safety person, or an actual construction volunteer. At that meeting, we'll go through all of the different job descriptions for volunteer opportunities, and we'll have a sign-up sheet available. We'll have the date of the week and also the task that we'll be doing on that day. So if you're interested in learning more about framing, then you could see that on August 15th, we're going to be doing framing and sign up for that day. If you're interested in painting, you can look at that part of the construction schedule that will have painting and sign up there as well. So we'll have an opportunity for all of the churches at the same time to come together and sign up. People can sign up in mass from a church. You can have your whole congregation sign up for a single Saturday, or we can have people from different congregations, 2 or 3 at a time, or even 1 at a time, signing up for a day. But we want to make sure that this project is really flexible and that people have an opportunity to fit this into their schedule in whatever way is most convenient for them. That would include both during the week and on our Saturdays. Typically, our construction site runs from about 9 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. So people sign up for all day long session and bring their own lunch, but we'll have snacks and refreshments provided throughout the day. So they can come to that first meeting expecting to learn all about how the construction site's going to work, and also come with their calendar ready to sign up for the days that are going to work best with their schedule, the schedules of other people in their congregation that they'd like to work with.
It's a very worthwhile experience, in all aspects of it. And the people are tremendous, and the people that get the homes are just ecstatic.
Staying outside after the house was the people that moved in the house. And they had a little boy that came out on the porch, and his name was Jesus, little Jesus, we called him. His dad was Jesus as well. And he said, Jim, he says, come on into my house. And, wow, what a feeling.
Well, I think that anybody wants to get involved or has questions, just ask, you know, and you don't know until you ask.
Build my world around hope, build my world where there's mercy.